Yes, but it was a fantastic salad. Nonetheless, I remember it still. This next one, I don't know, this is part of a series I've been kind of like working on off and on. Well, not a series really, it's just poems in which Mark pretends to be something else. I don't know what else to say except I don't know that I've ever seen a banana tree. That'll make more sense later. This is called, actually the series of poems comes from titles that my friend Jason Breedle emailed me from the Journal of American Medicine that he thought were hilarious. And so I just started making poems out of them, because apparently I didn't have anything better to do. The electric is excellent in the city. It is hard to understand why you keep singing about banana trees, as if that would bring them into being. The city is growing in each breath we take, while wildly we look for what to cling to. Perhaps all we have is a different thing to say about what lightning is. For one of us, it is the wheel of a car razoring through the puddle, lifting a sheet of iridescent water over the flower box of morning papers. For another one of us, it is a woman in a red dress at dusk, walking without hesitation into the fountain at the center of the city. We will never know if she was crying. At the center of the city, we see a kind of heart kept aloft by a blur of fetching lures. From the lures, taut wires thread into each window in each building in the city, windows which glow and flicker and blink, like eyes that have seen a banana tree exactly once. The next poem also takes its title from something. It might not be the American Journal of Medicine, because I don't know why they would have the title Marching Band Adjudication Services. This is definitely one of those poems in which Mark pretends to be a weird band of judging angels who are invisible. But I actually don't hate realism, so. Marching Band Adjudication Services. You do not see us, but we move among you with our special glasses and very small notebooks. Every once in a great while, a part of us will grow fond and rush to cradle the elbow that is about to give beneath your sousaphone, just to see you gleam and sound against the darkening teal of the sky. Yes, even those charged with the rigorous application of standards grow weak, trying to bear the negotiations of energy with shapes such energy pushes against. Some call us angels. We are only given to say how far into the air got the sound you asked to move through such puzzles of brass and wood and flesh and skin pulled tight. I remember moving through an expensive restaurant. Candles flickered in rows beneath thorny crystals, the light rivering along the white tablecloths of the empty tables as we swept toward the patio in the back to eat beyond our means, under the question crickets ask when the lights go out. Lately, in an effort to make myself write more poems, I decided I would do the April Poem a Day thing, which AWP actually crippled in such a way that there's just no going back. But I think this will be an ongoing project that I'm calling, even though I'm far from educated enough to do so, Phenomenology Machine. And the project briefly outlines this, that for this poem that I'm calling Phenomenology Machine, each line will become a title for the next poem in the collection. So right now it's a 30-line poem, but that might change. And after I read this, I'll read a couple of the poems that I've come up with that have those lines as titles. Right. That was utterly riveting, I'm sure. But I mean, it'll explain some recursiveness. Even though I am someone who is given to recursiveness. Phenomenology Machine. At first, it will seem terrible. The ends of the tree limbs like matchsticks, flaring almost in unison into blossom, each new blade of grass like a courtesan's quick tongue. The wind with its thorny handfuls, the faint song above you a gulped diamond, but be still, listen. A flight path is a flight path, and a flight path is a good flower. come spiraling from the glistening discotheque and stone church of your imagining. And listen, a flower can be anything. The swerving globe, it is true, is lacerated, anxious unto desperate violence. But a reckless exuberance breathes through the wounds, light boomerangs from the rivers of shattered mirrors. At first it will seem terrible, the dead all around you, coming apart in your fingers like antique flowers. Nothing will ever stay still. Here we are in Minusville. But the unstill everything fits inside you. Galaxies fold into your attention, even as you wait for your ordinary order in a booth at the taqueria, surrounded by primary colors. The rose garden you were never promised in your mouth. Here is your hammer. It is a dictionary. It is a story you remember, a terrible thing you loved into a shape. There is a cold fog to the terrible and a bright joy waiting to sharpen its edges. And as you put your hand to such an everything, the hand of your mouth and ear, your eye and nose, the hand of your hand, it shrinks to the sad, gorgeous propeller buzzing in your chest. When I first used that, well, the next one is called Each New Blade of Grass Like a Courtesan's Quick Tongue. And I was actually thinking of the courtesan speaking in a demeaning manner. And I later realized that not everybody would have that first association. So I tried to make this poem not about that at all. Each new blade of grass like a courtesan's quick tongue. In walks an auctioneer, a candy striper, a captain of industry, a devastation. In walks a joke. The battery comes from the air and in all shapes. The air comes from the mouth of God in the center of the eye, made of both our eyes, and the kaleidoscopic chamber where our eyes wait on tiptoe. In walks a quirt, the tongue of a courtesan in a post-courtesan age. Will we really all fit? Will the suspicions of our lives as amusement parks through which we rove, such contraptions as our giddy bodies constitute, survive the noon hour? The grass just won't stop. Perhaps there is something in this. It returns, and we do not return, not as we imagine. In walks someone clearly murdered. In walks a we, struggling to imagine past what we see. This place has got the best of us. It feels like a shoulder is turning. No, it's a hill. I could have sworn this was a saloon. In walks a saloon. The courtesan says something that makes the devastation blush. Perhaps we're already gone. Perhaps it is the instant when we know that we are free to push those blades away from us, as if we still had fingers.